Hello students, in this class I will explain new chapter that is mechanical properties of fluids. Okay, and in the last chapter you came to know that some properties of solids, right? And also you know that the basic reason responsible to distinguish between solids, liquids and gases. That means the basic reason is nothing but intermolecular force. Based on that intermolecular force or intermolecular distance, we can differentiate the matter into solid, liquid and gases. And although in liquids and gases the intermolecular force is very weak, isn't it? Then solid means it is having definite size and shape, but in case of liquid and gases means here that is called as fluid. Okay. And what is meant by fluid here? So fluid is defined as the substance which can flow, easily under application of external force, or you can say under the application of shearing force or shearing stress. Okay, those substances we will consider it as fluids. Here we will consider the liquids and the gases as fluids. Okay, and in this chapter we are going to study some basic properties of fluids. And this chapter fluids, here it is divided as hydrostatics and hydrodynamics. Okay, like this we will divide this mechanical properties of fluid as hydrostatics and hydrodynamics. Here static meaning is rest. First we will study some properties when fluid under rest, and next we will study when fluid in motion, that is called as hydrodynamics, and this is called as hydrostatics. And first we will start hydrostatic. This is the meaning of fluid, definition of fluid. So first, in this chapter, you need to understand the concept of pressure. Okay. So pressure is denoted by P, and the pressure means we can say pressure is an effect of force. Okay, and that pressure is depend upon force. So I will give an example. Let us consider this is the iron bar, like that. Okay, so I will apply, this is a board, I need to apply, that means I am applying some force on this iron bar. This iron bar is not piercing into the board. So what I need to do to pierce this iron bar means I can apply some more force. Initially I am applying some 10 Newton force. This iron bar is not piercing into it. Next I will apply some 20 Newton force. So by increasing the force, also this iron bar will pierce into the board. That means the effects will increases. On applying 10 Newton force also some effect is applying on the board, isn't it? by increasing the force, the effect on the board is increasing. And we can say that the force is, that means the pressure is directly proportional to force. If you increase the force, the effect of the force will increases. And then what is the other method to pierce this iron bar into this board? The other method means I can reduce the area of the iron bar. I can make very, very sharp. Then previously by applying 10 Newton force, it is not piercing. Now if I apply the same 10 Newton force, it may pierce into the board. Why? Because what I have reduced? I have reduced the area, isn't it? And the pressure is, I can say that, inversely proportional to the area. So first one is pressure directly proportional to the force, and pressure is inversely proportional to the area. If area increases, the effect will decreases. So from both, I can able to write it as pressure is directly proportional to F divided by A, force by area. Or you can consider pressure is equals to F by A. I can consider a proportionality constant also. Then you know that the force SI unit is Newton and area meter square. Okay, the SI unit is Newton per meter square. And if I make the force as 1 Newton by taking it as unity, if I take the force as 1 Newton, if I consider the area is 1 meter square, now I'll give the new SI unit name, then that is called as 1 Pascal. Okay, if I do like this, by giving the new SI unit, that is Newton in spite of Newton per meter square, by taking new 1 Newton force and 1 meter square, the SI unit becomes Pascal. That is how much? 1 Pascal. See here both side are 1 is there, no? Then obviously the K value becomes 1. So directly pressure means you can say it is F divided by A. Force upon area is called pressure, and its SI unit is Pascal. Okay. So this is about pressure. And some more examples we can give about pressure. First one, what I said, if you increase force, the effect will increase. If you increase area, the effect will decrease. Okay, other example means you may have observed in olden days in exhibitions. Okay, the elephant will step into the man's chest. So that means directly the elephant is not stepping into the man's chest. The performer kept a plywood, a large plywood on his chest. Upon that plywood, you may observe that the elephant is stepping onto it, right? So he can, then also he survived from that accident. How it is possible means, directly if an elephant stepping onto his chest means, definitely the person will not alive. Okay, definitely he will going to die. But what happens means, by keeping a large area, he is increased the area. By increasing the area, what the force is same as previous only, right? But by increasing the area, what has did means the effect is reduced. Okay, this also you can consider as a example for pressure. I hope you understood the concept of pressure, that is P is equals to F divided by A, and its SI unit is Pascal. And what type of quantity it is, scalar or vector? I forgot in last chapter also to tell about stress. Here also F by A we will call it as pressure. In that last chapter the F by A we will call it as here F by A we call it as pressure. In last chapter F by A we call it as stress. Both are having same SI unit, and both are what type of quantity? Scalar quantity or a vector quantity. Scalar means having only magnitude, no direction. Vector means having both magnitude and direction. If you consider a balloon, inside the balloon there are air molecules. That air molecules always exerting pressure. In which direction means all direction. Only one direction means we can able to say that is a vector quantity. But it is having direction, but that direction is in many ways. Means that type of quantity we can scale it. We can call it as tensor. Okay. But in NCERT textbook, pressure is considered as scalar quantity. So remember, pressure is a scalar quantity. And why we need this concept of pressure means this fluid, consider liquid. Liquid also exert pressure. So if you have a container, in this container, if it is containing a liquid, okay, so this liquid also exert pressure on the walls of the container. And what is the direction of that pressure? Direction of that force. To understand that one, let us consider a liquid on the surface. Okay. That is, we are studying hydrostatic, right? That is nothing but liquid is at rest. And here, suppose some force is acting on the, that means pressure means nothing but force upon area. Here there are some liquid molecules. These liquid molecules are exerting force on this surface. Okay, I will consider that force direction may be in this direction. Let us consider these molecules are applying force. That force direction is this one. This is the point of contact. At this point of contact, it is making some angle. That angle let us consider as theta. Okay. So this force is nothing but a vector. Force is a vector quantity, right? We can resolve into two component. And this is the direction of force. And what are the component means? I have considered as this angle is theta. It is making theta angle with the surface. So this angle also become equal to theta. This is the direction of the force. And if I resolve this vector into two components means this will become one vector. So theta side always you have to consider horizontal component. This is F force is acting means in this direction the force I will consider it as F cos theta, and this is the vertical component. Vertical component means here I can able to write this is F sin theta. So fluid is under rest. It is under equilibrium. When a body can move means when it is under external force, isn't it? Unbalanced force. Unbalanced force always creates motion. If you see in vertical direction, F sin theta component is acting, some force is acting. In this direction, F cos theta force is acting. That means to balance this F sin theta, okay, there will be a normal reaction will act in upward direction. But to balance this F cos theta force, there is no component is acting in this direction, right? For example, if I am standing on the floor means the weight is acting vertically, weight of my body, that mg is acting vertically downward. So that means I am applying force on this floor. For that Newton's third law, for every action there is equal and opposite reaction. The ground, the floor is also applying some force on me. Always remember, weight will act vertically downward. That force will apply, that means the floor will apply force right, that is in upward direction. That direction is always perpendicular to the surface or normal to the surface. Here also, due to this liquid, one component is acting in this downward direction, right? So the normal reaction will act in upward direction, that will balance us. But one more component, F cos theta, is acting in this direction. To balance this F cos theta, there is no other force is acting in opposite direction. If it is there, means that component will, this horizontal components will get cancelled. But F cos theta force is acting in this direction, means this is an unbalanced force. The liquid has to move. But practically what we are observing, the liquid is not moving. The liquid is at rest position. So we can say that this component F cos theta is equal to 0. F cos theta is equal to 0 means definitely force is acting on this surface, isn't it? Force is acting on this surface. So force is not 0, but it is under rest. The liquid is not moving, means the cos theta component should be equal to 0. Then cos theta is equal to 0 means theta should be equals to 90 degree. So what we can understand from this concept means this theta value is 90 degree. The force is not acting in this direction. The force is acting in this direction. Okay. So first thing is definitely liquids, fluids will exert pressure on the surface, or if it is in the container, means it will apply pressure on the walls of the container. Now what we are understanding, suppose if it is applying pressure, means what is the direction of force, in which direction the liquid will exert force. For that we came to know that it is applying some pressure on this surface, that we know. First I considered the force may be some other direction, like that at theta angle I consider this is the force. If other angle the force is acting, means there always exists one component, cos component. Okay. Because of this component, the liquid not should be at static, it should move. But practically we are observing the liquid is at rest. It is not moving, means this F cos theta component is not acting. That means force is acting, but cos theta should be equal to 0 means theta should be equals to 90. That means the liquid apply force or pressure that is normal. That is in what direction? Normal to the area of contact. Okay. Normal to the area of contact or perpendicular to the surface or area of contact. Remember, this is basic concept. Liquid exerts pressure and the direction is perpendicular to the surface. Always remember. So, for example, here let us consider a wall. In this wall, it is having pressure, liquid. It is having liquid means definitely the liquid having the shape of this container, right? So before filling the water into this container, the intermolecular distance is large. Once we filled the water or liquid in this container, right, definitely due to compress, the intermolecular distance will decreases. So because of that force, the liquid is applying pressure on the walls of the container. So what type of, in what direction means, you can see that always that force is perpendicular to the surface. Here also it will exert pressure that is perpendicular to the surface. And in the next concept I will explain that the pressure will increases with the depth. Okay, that's why here I am using the large vector signs. Here I am using the magnitude of the vector is less. Okay, but it always perpendicular to surface. So in the next example, let us see. So this is the container. In this container there is a liquid, and let us assume a object. Let us assume an object. This object is dropped into the liquid, or let us consider that object is suspended from this rigid support. As soon as this object occupies this place, definitely the liquid molecules present in this place will displaces. Then what happens means the distance between intermolecule will decreases. Because of that, a repulsive force will develop. All the liquids again apply force on this object. Again, what is the direction of that force, or what is the direction of what is the direction of pressure means normal to the surface. If the object is placed in the liquid, or the liquid is filled in a container, definitely the liquid will apply pressure on the walls of the container or like this object, and that direction is normal, perpendicular to the surface. So this is about some examples of pressure exerted by liquid. And after understanding this concept of pressure, next what you have to know means that is called relative density. And here relative density, in short form I will write RD, that is defined as, it is the ratio of density of substance. It is the ratio of density of given substance to the density of water. Okay, and density is normally denoted by the letter rho, or we can choose the second symbol as sigma. Usually the density is nothing but rho, or second symbol if you want means we can choose that sigma symbol. And you know that density meaning. So the density is defined as mass per unit volume. Okay, this is the definition of density. Matter enclosed per unit value. Then relative density means density of substance to the density of water. And this density of water, it is having standard value. Remember that value, that is 1000 kg per meter cube. This is the value of density of water. So to measure length, let us consider of this object. To measure length of this object, what you will do? You want some reference standard, right? You will take a scale. By taking the scale, you will compare that scale with this object. Then you can able to find the length. To measure everything, we need some reference standard. Here also, the density of substance we are comparing with the standard, which we have chosen as a standard, means that standard is density of water, and the value of density of water is 1000 kg divided by meter cube. So how to imagine this one? So let us consider a cube having 1 meter length and 1 meter breadth, 1 meter height. In that we will fill, that means we will pour a water means, and if we weigh that water means it will comes 1000 kg. Or in SI, this is in SI system. In CGS system, the density of water is 1 gram per cc cube, okay, or cubic centimeter. Remember the value. And suppose I will tell the relative density, that means the relative density of the mercury, that 13.6 value is relative density value of mercury. Then what is the density of the mercury means? What we need to do? 13.6, density of water is how much? 1000 kg. 13.6 into 1000 kg. Then what it will give? That will give the density of mercury. That means we can able to know the value of relative density. That means if the value is 13.6 means we can say that it is 13.6 times greater than density of water. Other substance let us consider. Its relative density I will tell, its relative density is 2. From this what we will understand, that substance having the substance density is 2 times greater than density of water. 13.6 means the substance density is 13.6 times greater than water. Okay. So in this way, by knowing the relative density value, we can able to tell the density of substance. Here 1000 kg per meter cube is standard value, that is density of water. So remember this concept, relative density. And you came to know that the liquid can exert pressure, isn't it? Always perpendicular or normal to the area of contact.